Hi, I'm Natalie, Sisson, the Suitcase entrepreneur, and in this lifestyle show, we're all about creating freedom in business and adventure in life and hanging out in beautiful parks. Today's episode is all about webinars and why they're such an important part in any online business. So that's what you're going to learn today, is the 5 steps to running a successful webinar. Let's just dive straight into this because I personally love giving webinars, I love attending webinars, and I love having guests along to do webinars for my community. And the reason for that is I think you can really personally connect with people. Even though they're out there somewhere on the other side of a screen listening into you, it's the point that you feel like you're just having a one-on-one conversation with people. And the other great thing about webinars is you can make them very visually appealing, and you can also have a whole lot of chat going on where you're actually getting feedback from people who are listening and telling you if you're doing a great job. The other reason why I love them is I personally love to give a ton of value, and I feel that that is my way of being able to share as much knowledge as I can for free in the space of like an hour. So there are 5 steps that I said I'm going to cover today on how to run a great webinar. Step 1 is all about the psychology of webinars. Now, you have probably been to several before, and ones that I find incredibly boring are when people just have screeds and screeds of text on their boring PowerPoint slide shares, and it's just the most frustrating thing to look at. So first of all, fill your webinar with beautiful visuals, lots of big text, and just put the main points up. You should know your stuff well enough that you're actually not putting all the notes up there. That's the thing, is keep it mysterious and talk to the visual. So have something that really conjures up and resonates with a beautiful image or representation of what you're talking about. Less text, more visuals. Another thing around the psychology of webinars is that you need to keep positive yourself. So you need to keep your voice kind of energetic, you need to keep it rolling, you need to tell people what they can expect next. As I said, a bit of an element of surprise or what's coming up so that they stay on the line with you. Because remember, people are busy and their attention spans are short. And the final piece on that is you can have actually up to around 100 slides per webinar. Some of you may be going, oh my God, that's a crap load of slides, but it's actually really important to keep flicking through. Think about when you go to the movies and you're constantly seeing these changes in scenes, because that keeps you interested, that keeps you engaged, and it pulls you into the story. So please don't sit on a slide for 5 minutes talking about it. Keep people entertained, keep the images coming, take them on a journey with you. Step 2 is have your structure of your webinar in place. Now, I know, for example, Clay Collins, one of the masters of online marketing, spends months sometimes planning the content of his webinar. It's not something you just throw together at the last minute. Sometimes I may do that myself, that's my kind of style, but the people who I've seen so successful actually have content in place and they really know what they're going to talk about. So they've prepared well in advance, they have their calls to action, they have their psychological triggers, and they really know what the purpose of their webinar is. So plan, and rehearse your webinar. You want to get really good at this. If you look at somebody like Lewis Howes and Sean Malarkey, they've done over 500 webinars between them, and they constantly rehearse and get better. So every single time you do a webinar, think about what you liked about it, listen to the feedback that you get from people, and then make it better. Better visuals, better text, better story, better flow. Step 3 is know your webinar best practice. What I mean by that is there are certain times of the days and weeks when it's best to run a webinar. From research that has been done, generally these are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Monday is just not a good day for anybody. Remember, it's the day they've come off the weekend. If they're in a job or if they're working, it's the busiest day of the year. Friday is not bad because people are a bit more relaxed, but they're also sort of taking off into the weekend already. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, great days to capture people's attention. It's also well known that 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., wherever you are in the world, are pretty decent times because during dinner or in the evening when people can kind of relax and actually switch off and totally tune in. Now, for somebody like me with a global audience, I really like 1 p.m. Pacific time because it is afternoon for the US, it is evening for most of Europe, and it is morning for South Pacific. So it kind of almost gets my international audience, almost. There's never really one time that will fit, but do think about the times when you're most likely to tune into a webinar yourself. Secondly, along with that point about the structure of what you're doing and your promotional plan, is you need to email people to tell them what's happening. Now, a lot of people get this wrong and they'll just send out one email saying, hey, I'm having this webinar in a few days, come along. No. You probably need about 2 or 3 emails. People who do it really well. One of my friends actually is Danny Inney. He usually has 5 emails spread out. So about a week before the webinar starts. It's the, hey, building credibility, who is Danny? What is he going to talk about? Why is this important? Register now. A few days before, once again, recapping on the webinar, some different points and some giveaways or templates or PDFs that he might be giving out. Day of the webinar, an hour before, you're going to join us in an hour. Please come along. Here's why it's good for you. Register here, always a call to action. Follow up after the webinar to say, here's the recording or the live replay. And then even a follow-up later than that. Don't forget to miss out on watching this webinar, to take down all the points, etc. And if there's an offer, that's also a time that you can follow up with the offer. Step 4 is to have somebody there to support you. Now, I know a lot of us are solopreneurs, but it's great to have a team member or even a friend or your business partner who can be there as well. If you are doing the actual presenting, you just want to focus on giving the best delivery of your life, going through the webinar slides and visuals. It's lovely to have somebody there monitoring the chat, making sure it's all recording, and handling any kind of tech stuff behind the scenes. If you can't have that, you can always hire a VA for a day, or as I said, just get a really good friend to come and do it for you. Or if you have 2 monitors, if you're that kind of lucky person who has a beautiful setup, that also helps in just being able to concentrate on your screen and concentrate on the back end. So the 5th step that I mentioned in some of those emails is you have to follow up. This is where I see other people go wrong, is they will do all this great stuff beforehand, they'll run a great webinar, and then crickets, like you just have nothing from them. You never hear from them, you never get the replay, they don't communicate with you, they don't answer your questions that maybe you put out on social media, they don't feedback in the chat or the comments, and they don't follow up with the webinar recording and the next call to action. So those would be my 5 steps to running a really successful webinar. But most of all, make it engaging, make it fun, and make it valuable content, and then just keep getting better at it. In the comments below, I would love for you to share the one thing that is holding you up from running your own webinar, or the one thing that you've learned from running your own. I always love to get insights from other people. If you like this video, please hit subscribe below, and you'll get fresh weekly content from me every Thursday, which is all about creating freedom in business and adventure in life. Signing out. I'll just wait for the... They're off to the tennis.